regardless of what's going on in the economy, you need to purchase property. You can't allow yourself to be a dummy entering the real estate market. You can't be a dummy going into the banks, but I'll get to that in a separate video. You need to buy, black people need to buy property regardless. A home needs to be purchased regardless. That's a demanding objective. I'm gonna read some stats that nobody is talking about and that nobody mentions, but everybody is getting on YouTube and online dictating your decision-making process of whether you should buy, when. It all depends on your position and where are you positioned in life. What do you have in capital? Are you sitting on extra money? Do you need to move? It's many factors, but it's all about your positioning. You control you. Not no critic, not no realtor, not no real estate channel. You control you. Okay, so this is what nobody's talking about. Let's get to the fact of the matter. Inflation has risen steadily since 1981. So, yeah, they talk about inflation today, but we've been living in an inflationary period. It hasn't stopped. Prices haven't fallen at all. Overall, price of goods has risen 224% since 1980. Homeowners desire to maximize their purchasing power. So again, your purchasing power is based on where you are positioned financially, where you are in life. What's your taste? What's your preference? Because renting and ownership is risky on both sides. There's risks, great risks on both sides. Renting is risky too, because that property you in can be sold. Then what? The worst that can happen to you in real estate is that the value of your property declines. And there's not ever a scenario where your property will be worth nothing. That's the worst that can happen. But the worst can happen as a renter is that property gets sold and you get displaced, dispositioned. Now, the median price per square foot has increased 310% since 1980. The typical home today is $169 per square foot of house. Annual incomes are not pacing with inflation. Since 2000, price of goods increased by 67%. So since 2000, the price of goods increased 67%. But since 1980, the overall price of goods has risen 224%. But inflation has been on the rise since 81. Okay. The median price per square foot has increased 310% since 1980. And that's why it's not optimal for you to wait. Position yourself. Look at your position. You got USDA, you got FHA, you got HUD, you got Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. There's programs. FHA been making people homeowners since 1934. And although black people wasn't given or permitted to take advantage of that during that time, that's what's been going on. But it's no excuse in this day and age. But we did what we have to do. We did what we had to do. Now, the median square foot of homes increased by 50% since 1980. Square feet has increased, but people per household has decreased. The median square foot of a new home today is near 2,356 square feet. But in 1980, it was 1,570 square feet. And so when we talk about inflation and you look at the real estate market, things have every aspect has steadily risen. So what side are you going to be on as things continue to rise? Are you going to be a spectator or are you going to be invested? Because as a spectator, you miss the opportunity and you run the risks of loss. But as being invested, being in the game, you run the risk of loss still, but you have a greater potential of reaping great rewards. So let's get to it. The average household size is down from 2.76 people to 2.5 people. So for square footage, that is 949 square feet per person. But in the 1980s, it was 569 square feet. So 1980s, it was 569 square feet per person. Now today it's 949 square feet per person. The median sale price of new single-family homes has increased 515% since 1980. That is another pivotal piece of insight of why you shouldn't allow any realtors or critics to dictate your decision-making process. Because, again, median sale price of new single-family homes has increased 515% since 1980. Now we have to look at who spectated during this period, this whole entire period of time, and who actually got invested. Because when you actually own a home, it protects you against inflation. But you have to seek to know that. But it's here now. Got the median sale price today is $397,100. But in the 1980s, it was $64,600. The rise in median sale price exceeded the rise in median square foot by 928% since 1980. Get in the game. I'm going to read it again. The rise in median sales price has exceeded the rise in median square footage by 928% since 1980. So homes haven't got any bigger as of recent. But the prices of the homes has risen, has fallen, has risen, has fallen. It depends on where you are. How are you positioned? It's about your positioning. But don't be displaced or dispositioned as a renter. And yeah, assume some losses with the potential of reaping great rewards as a home owner. Stay in your means, stay in your range. Stop looking at $500,000, $400,000, $300,000 homes. There are 100,000. There's 120. There's 150. There's 200. There's affordable home values and home prices for you. What is your position? This is what because home ownership for black people hasn't even changed since 1980. Hasn't even changed. So the rise in median sale price of homes has exceeded the rise in median square feet by 1,705% since 2020. The rise in median sale price of homes has exceeded the rise in median square feet by 1,705% since 2020. Now, the median sale price per square foot has exceeded inflation by 139%. The median sale price per square foot has exceeded inflation by 139%. Okay, adjusting for inflation. So that means actually pricing things the way they were when inflation had been occurring during the period of time that we're talking about, 1980 to now. So when you adjust for inflation, the price per square foot of homes has increased 25% from 1980. Imagine putting your money into a home, purchasing a home, investing in one. Because anything you put your money into, you're investing. When it comes to assets, even consumption, you eat, you buy the right foods, you invest in your health. But imagine getting a 25% return or 25% increase in your home value from when you purchased it. It's not a lie, it's the truth. This is a reality that occurs in real estate. So, when we adjust for inflation, the median sale price per square foot has increased 13% since 2005. The peak of the housing bubble in the early 2000s. So even during the housing bubble, median sale price per square foot had increased 13% since 2005. And everybody should be familiar with 2006 to 2008 and what happened. Now, adjusting for inflation, price per square foot of homes increased 11% since 2020. Again, what side of the game are you on? Are you losing your 11 or are you gaining? What would you rather do? Miss the opportunity or take advantage? Adjusting for inflation, millennials entering their 30s face a 161% higher median sale price per square foot of house than boomers. Again, so if you have children entering their 30s, they're paying a higher price today than what you would have. And you are paying a higher price than what your grandparents would have. So imagine if all three generations just waited, and never decided to get in the game. Now, my palm trees, I gotta be aware. Boomers entering their 30s in 1985 could potentially purchase a 1,000 square foot home for $53,020. And for millennials entering their 30s today, that same 1,000 square foot house is $138,460. So just imagine being that parent that bought the $53,020 home, and now you're passing the equity on to the next generation with that house today being worth $138,460. This is why it's all about your positioning. It's all about you. It's not about no realtor, no critic. Take the information, acknowledge the information, but don't let it dictate your action. Okay. So millennials are paying more than their parents' generation in the housing market. And for a 1,000 square foot home, boomers would pay $132,840 inflation adjusted dollars in 1985. And millennials would pay $145,660 in 2019, as of 2019. So just being comparable. Adjusting for inflation is just pricing everything accurately to where it had risen to, the levels that had risen to, and looking at the measure of the dollar truly during the inflationary period, whether it would have took more dollars for you to purchase or less dollars for you to purchase. And as we can see, even with adjusted inflation, boomers back then, our grandparents was still paying less than us, even with their inflation period that they experienced. But inflation has steadily risen since 1980. Why are you waiting for what? Spectating for what? All right. What side would you be on? Imagine if you bought a house in an up and coming neighborhood, and inflation has happened in the housing market in that area, in that zip code, new developments, new housing, hospital, schools, just things are being redeveloped, renovated in this area, and you experience inflation of home prices because of the population increase and the demand and the need for housing and competitiveness. But you already bought the house. You already have your house. You just living day to day. But you're watching the value around you increase, which means that's putting more value on your home. So if you did decide to move or decide to sell your starter house or the house you had for a few years and take that equity that you have gained now from this redevelopment of this area, and you go and build your dream house or start your small business or whatever you want to do, why wouldn't you want to be on that side of the game than to been sitting back and spectating and being displaced in this position, possibly as a renter? Now, I'm going to end with this. People living in cities with large price per square foot increases are paying more for the same or less space. I'm going to say it again. People living in cities with large price per square foot increases are paying more for the same or less amount of space. So let's get into those places. I'll mention a few. Only 3 major cities with large price per foot. Actually, only 3 major metros. I apologize. Only 3 major metros seeing price per square foot increases below the national average of a 28% increase. That is Memphis, Cleveland, Baltimore. Those are the 3 cities. The 3 major metros out of the top 50, top 75 major metro areas in the United States. 3 major metros seeing price per square foot increases below the national average of 28%. Memphis, Cleveland, Baltimore. And if you want to know, Memphis is one of the top cities with the lowest price per square foot, being at $92 per square foot for a home. And the median home price being $242,500. So again, it's all about your position. Do you have a desire to move? Do you mind traveling? Are you open-minded to a reset, a restart? Moving to a state that has better and greater fiscal management, because a lot of cities are in massive debt. And when your city is in $1 billion of debt, you, as a tax-paying and working citizen, you receive the burden of their poor money management and investment skills. That's what happens when cities make illiterate and unsound investment decisions that debt get passed down on the taxpayers. So beware of that. But don't go into real estate or don't walk into these banks a dummy. And don't be the dummy that allows a real estate channel or a realtor to dictate your decision-making process. So these are all things and facts that you need to know. You need to know. And I'll end with another one. I end with this right here. A new home buyer today pays nearly $2,500 a month mortgage payment as of February 2023. It's double the amount from 2020's $1,300 a month mortgage payment, and it's double from 2006, 2007's $1,388 a month mortgage payment at 6% interest. And remember, that's based on the top-notch credit scores. But imagine, assess you. That's why I said it's all up in your position. Are you paying $2,000, $2,500 a month rent? Are you paying $1,300, anywhere from $1,300 to $2,500 a month rent? Because all that's doing is helping that property owner to open up the margin of equity in their property that you are consuming. Now, the rent may be helping you save, but what are you saving to do? Or maybe it may be you may be penny pinched by what your rent is. As I said, you have to look. So it would be more reasonable and sensible and literate for you to take your current situation, utilize a housing program, a home buying program, and maximize your current situation to get yourself into a property and to let that monthly payment on a mortgage instead of some rent open up some equity for you going into the future. You've already been renting for 2 years. You've had an apartment for 2-3 years. You can have a home for 2-3 years. Still be affordable. Still come out to what you're paying right now in rent. But why wait? Why wait? Just buy a home regardless. Purchase a home regardless. That's it.